Okay, folks, this is Mr. Wallace, your driver education instructor, and we are continuing with lesson 3, part 2. So in the first lesson, we were talking about some traffic signals and some signs. And one thing I want to make clear for everyone is that in the highway transportation system, our signs and our pavement markings all go hand in hand together. Signs, signals, and pavement markings all work together in a broad system. Okay, and we shouldn't be really talking about any of these really, kind of exclusively, but in the broader picture of how they interact with each other. Okay. Anyway, let's continue with destination signs. And right, again, with destination signs, we can see they are the color green mostly. They have white writing in them, and they often, guys, carry some other special features. One of them is they usually tell you what direction traffic will be flowing, right? So east or north over here. They'll often use arrows to tell you which lane to go into, and that's when our pavement markings mean something, right? They bring meaning to the pavement markings because different lanes will go to different places, and your destination signs will tell you where they go. Okay, not only that, destination signs also often carry some type of shield, and that is to tell you what kind of road you are going to go onto. If it's an interstate road, if it's a county highway or something like that, often there's a shield. And there's often exit numbers. Okay. And again, exit numbers are going to be special pavement markings, and that's going to help you as well to, move efficiently in the highway transportation system. They do include directions and distance as well. Traffic lights, usually they are red, yellow, green from top to bottom or from left to right. Traffic signals indicate who has the right of way at an intersection. Okay. Again, they will be used in conjunction with pavement markings. And often, if it's a complicated intersection, there will also be regulatory signs telling you what you can do and what you cannot do. Okay. According to state law, if traffic lights are out, this is important, and this is going to be on your quiz. If traffic lights are out of service or not operating correctly when you approach an intersection, you must treat it like a four-way stop intersection. So you must come to a complete stop in the right place before the crosswalk or before that solid white stop line. Okay. Then you must apply the rules of right of way, which we will discuss in more detail. I think we already did in part 1, right? So the cars on your right have the right of way. You have the right of way to the cars on your left. Okay. Sometimes there may be a traffic officer standing in the middle directing traffic, and that person has authority over the traffic light in all cases. Okay. Here is our right-of-way intersection. So let's think about what happens here. I thought we did this already. So who moves first? Let's pretend we are A, right? So here we are. We come to this stop, the four-way intersection at the same time as all the other cars. Whoops. We did go through this already, so I'm going to continue on. Okay, and this we discussed as well with my student in the Czech Republic, and how she lost her life doing what she was supposed to be doing, going through a yellow flashing light. On the other side, someone approached a red flashing light with a stop sign, but did not stop at all, and it was a terrible accident, and my friend lost her life because of that. The lesson to be learned in this, guys, and you can see, I believe this is done on purpose. This cornfield is cut back on purpose so that you can see who is coming into the intersection. Okay, I believe this has all been cut back so that in every case you can see, except maybe coming here, you can't see through those trees very well to see who is coming. But um, when you are here approaching a flashing yellow light, yes, you have the right of way, but it is telling you something. Okay, one is telling you that the other traffic has a red light and they're expected to make a full stop, but they're also telling you that this is a dangerous intersection. Okay, like you have to treat it specially. You need to be looking down the road, the perpendicular road, to see if there is traffic coming. If you cannot, because your view is obstructed, as your expert driver safety expert, I'm telling you, you need to take your foot off the gas. Keep looking. If your view is still obstructed, you need to start braking your car, okay, and managing the traffic behind you. If they are confused, and they very well might be, use your indicator. Tell them you're going to make a right-hand turn. Okay, that way they'll understand. Oh, okay, he's going to turn. That's why he's turning. But whatever you do, do not go flying into this intersection until you can ascertain for sure that there are no vehicles that are coming into this intersection. These intersections, guys, are when you have an intersection of traffic that is usually traveling at around 55 miles per hour, maybe 45, but especially 55 miles per hour. And there are all kinds of reasons why people, other drivers, don't recognize the red stoplight. There's just a milieu of reasons why they didn't see it. They were drowsing off. They're getting drowsy. They were not paying attention when the light was flashing red. And when they get to this intersection, they're traveling 55 miles per hour. We learned already, or we will learn, that their inertia is going to carry them, even with the brakes on completely. Their inertia is going to take them right across the road. Okay. And their speed is not going to be reduced enough to prevent a very, very bad accident. Let's continue. Okay, we did this video already, so I'm going to continue. Okay, pedestrian signals. As we know, pedestrians are not the most trustworthy of road users, and we need to be wary, and we want to hope that they are using the pedestrian signals correctly. They're designed to allow pedestrians to cross the street safely. Some signals are automatic. Some must be activated by pushing a button. Many have audible indications that correspond with the countdown. Pavement markings, and this is where we're going here, and we're going to spend quite a bit of time on this. Take a good look. What colors are used in this pavement markings? If you said yellow and white, you are correct. What do these pavement markings mean? Pavement markings will designate turn lanes. They'll designate where to stop for traffic signs and signals. They'll tell you when you can pass and when you can't pass. Okay. Okay, here we go. Yellow lines. Okay, used to separate traffic traveling in opposite directions and to indicate the left edge of multiple lane divided highways. All right, think about that for a minute. If you're traveling on a divided highway with a meridian in the middle, on the left edge of our highway, going in our direction, there will be a yellow line. Okay, this is to help you make sure you're going the right way on this road. Yellow center lines may be single. Not often, guys, will they be single. In fact, I think it's only in Europe where they will be single, not here in the United States. They will definitely be double, and sometimes they will be solid or dashed on one side. Okay. A single broken yellow lane line or a broken yellow lane line to the right of a solid yellow lane line means that it is not safe, that's possible for us on our side to pass a slower driver. okay, but only if it is safe to do so. A solid yellow lane line to the right of a broken yellow lane line means that it is possible for the vehicles in the opposite on the oncoming traffic to pass us. And for us, it is prohibited to pass. A double solid lane line is the simplest. It means there's just no passing allowed. Passing is prohibited. Okay, we have sorry about that. We have reversible lanes, and that's this here, guys. These are these yellow dashed lanes. These are a controlled lane. You will have some type of control around it to tell you that in which direction you can use this lane. Okay, they're marked with double dashed yellow lines. Their reversible lanes can improve the flow of traffic by changing the direction of travel within the lane itself. Reversible lane signals can also be used to ease traffic flow in tunnels and on bridges. And that's where you will find most of these, especially in the metropolitan area. They're mostly used on bridges and in tunnels. Pavement markings. Okay, marking type. We have dashed white lines. That separates two lanes traveling in the same direction, and you can move between the two lanes if it is safe. Solid white lines along the path of travel, used to mark the right edge of highways, right? Where that's the shoulder. Solid white lines also are used between lanes to indicate areas where lane changing is not allowed, okay, due to increased danger associated with such movements. Usually they're in front of intersections. Okay, that's where we don't want vehicles to be changing lanes in a multi-lane system. Okay, solid white lines running perpendicular across traffic lanes identify stopping points and pedestrian crosswalks. Right, so talking about that thick, solid white line, that's a stop line. Pavement markings. Here we go. Okay, we have yellow lines separate traffic moving in what direction? Okay, we have these yellow lines right here. They separate traffic moving in opposite directions. Drive on which side of the yellow line? We always want to be on the right side of the yellow line. Okay, here we have broken yellow. That means passing is allowed. Okay, where do we see this? We usually see this on long, flat straightaways where we can see well into the distance, several seconds, quite a lot of seconds ahead of us. Okay, so obviously this car is too close for us to make a pass if there were a car ahead of us. But we can see the car way up there is probably around 10 seconds ahead of us. Okay, this looks like a place I was visiting earlier this summer in Oregon. Pavement markings. Okay, so we have other pavement markings. What does this pavement marking tell us? This pavement marking tells us that this is a biking lane. And the solid white line means we're not supposed to cross this lane, this line, unless we're going to be turning, okay? Like into a driveway. All right, otherwise it's broken here for a regular intersection. Okay, this double yellow line means that passing is not allowed. Okay, turning left across the solid double yellow line is allowed. Okay, so if our driveway's right here, we are allowed to cross and turn left here. May be difficult though. Pavement markings. Yellow dots are lane guide markers. Okay, so this tells us where the lane starts and ends. Okay, the white line here separates the two lanes that are actually coming into this part of the intersection, right? And this one only has the yellow because we only have one lane that's going to take a left here. Here we go. Pavement markings. Okay, so white lines, here they are. 1, 2. Okay, that's not white. White lines separate lanes of traffic moving in what direction? The same direction. Okay. White lines separate traffic going in the same direction. Broken white lines means crossing is permitted, okay, but only when it's safe. Okay, narrow, solid white lines mark the right edge of the roadway. Take a look here, guys. So we have pavement, we have the white line, and then, boy, this shoulder is not very wide and doesn't look too inviting either. Okay, we got some type of road, surface condition that doesn't look ideal for traction. Pavement markings, here we go. We have solid white lane lines are barriers. No crossing is allowed, definitely. Normally we have one solid. Look at this. We have two solids. Why would we have two solid white lines here? It's like to emphasize no crossing. Do not switch lanes anywhere around here. Why not? If you noticed, we have these neon yellow warning signs, right? And look what's even above them. Okay, these are flashing lights that are above these signs, above the posts here. So when anyone's walking, probably people have been hit. If you look at the speed limit on this road, is 45 miles per hour. It looks rather flat and rather straight, which usually means people are driving fast. And if you look here, look at this. We have skid marks, right? 4 of them altogether, right here, going through the white stop line and the crosswalk. Okay, this is probably a pretty dangerous place to cross the road. And that's why they've emphasized no switching lanes here at all. Because let's face it, guys, when we switch lanes, and you can watch this in my videos, you need to, at the minimum, maintain your speed. At the minimum. Usually you have to accelerate into a lane change, okay? So the last thing we want is for people to be accelerating coming up to a crosswalk. Okay, and this, we're not supposed to move into this area here. It is not a shoulder. This is a bike path. And if you look up and above, I believe this is the biker right here. Let's continue. These solid white dotted lines separate turning paths. Okay, avoid conflicts and do not cross. Okay, destination sign. Green lights for the cars going in opposite directions, and we have red arrows, and so we need to wait until we get green arrows and this traffic stops. By the way, real quick, I'm not sure if these are going to turn green after this traffic stops, but if it does, and sometimes it does, we need to be very careful. If we're this car right here, or this car right here, we need to be extremely careful that the cars have all communicated to us that they are stopping. How do they communicate this to us? We notice they are slowing down as they approach the intersection. If they are not slowing down as they approach the intersection, take your time, wait to see that they start slowing down before going out into that intersection. Because what we get from time to time are individuals who are trying to catch the yellow light and they miss it and it turns red and then ours turns green and we're starting to head out and we have a serious accident. This happens. And usually the higher the speed, the more often it happens. Okay. Pavement markings, again, here we go. Let's do this one first. These wide broken white lines, wide broken white shorter, it designates an exit lane. Okay, it is, and crossing is permitted into the exit lane. How are the exit lane dashes different from the white dashes that separate the lanes? Right, here's the white dashes that separate the lanes. How are they different? They're different because they're thicker and they are shorter, right? These are longer and thinner. Why do they designate these? So that people understand that this lane is for exiting. It's not for changing lanes and you're going to go straight, right? So if you can recognize that this is an exit lane instead of just another lane, then you won't have the problem of arriving at the intersection realizing that you need to turn right when you wanted to continue straight. Okay. It's handy to know that. Okay, so these mark where you may cross a bike lane, right? So we might have these broken white lines to get into a turning lane, for example, while the bike lane stays in the middle. All right. Mr. Wallace does have a tragic story about a biking accident, and I have to say, Mr. Wallace is not going to be riding his bike on a road like this. I wouldn't do it. Okay. Okay, stop line. So where is the stop line? Okay, where do we stop when we have a stop sign? All right, we talked about this just a minute ago. Normally, this white stop line is going to be before our post. Okay, maybe it's even with a post. If there is no stop line, we need to draw an imaginary line across the road from the post, and we need to stop before that imaginary line, like 1 foot before it. It might be way back from the intersection. This happens. And when it does, we need to come to a complete stop and then taking our foot off the brake pedal a little bit, allow the car to creep up. When we do, we're looking over our left hand shoulder to begin with, and we're looking for traffic coming on, oncoming traffic. And then we take a look over our right shoulder, looking for oncoming traffic, depending on which way we're turning. Okay, and then we look over our left hand shoulder one more time. If there is traffic, we come to a full stop again. If there is no traffic, then we go. It's very rare, I think, to see a stop line way beyond the stop sign. Okay, what are these things here? They look like shark teeth. These are where you need to come to a full stop when there is a yield, okay, before, if there's oncoming traffic. Okay, so it's for a yield situation. That's where they kind of replicate the yield sign on the pavement, so to speak, those triangles, upside down triangles. Okay, so this is a roundabout here. And with a roundabout, entering a roundabout, we need to yield to traffic that is in our left, coming from the left, because we are merging into it. Yield means we are going to be merging into traffic. So we need to yield to the traffic coming in from the left. And if there is traffic coming, we need to stop our vehicle before these yellow or these shark teeth here, the yield lines. Okay, that's what they're there for. It's like a stop. It's like a thick stop line, except they're yield tooth marks. Okay. Okay. We also need to be a little cognizant here of pedestrians because, let's face it, pedestrians are everywhere. And if they're coming through one of these things, we have to be really careful. They probably don't know where and when to cross. Okay, if I had to come to a complete stop, what is the line? The line is right here at the yield line, not beyond it. Is this a one-way or two-way road? It is two-way. How do we know? Well, we have another car parked right here facing us. Okay. Okay, what are the lanes used for? The lanes are used for driving, right? But we also have parking on either side of the road. Okay. What kind of sign is this? It is a warning sign, right? Telling us that we're coming to an area that is dense in deer population, and they often get struck by vehicles here. One way or two way, how many lanes? Okay, so look at this. We have one lane going this way, right? We have the edge, the right edge here. We have a shoulder, and we have two yellow lines. So there's no passing going down and no passing coming up. But on the other side, we have two lanes here. Okay. Which lines can be crossed? None of them. Okay. We're not supposed to be crossing any of them, not to pass anybody anyway. The only ones we can cross right here are the dotted or the dashed white lines if you're on this side of the road. Okay. One way or two way. This is actually a three-way road. Well, it's a two-way road with a left-hand turn lane, right? Look, there's two lanes. One, here's the dash. Two, right? There's a solid white line on the right. That's indicating the end of the road, right? The edge of the road. Now we don't have any yellow lines on this side. Okay, so now we have solid white. We have a solid white. And we have this in the middle, right? What's the purpose of the solid white lines? That's to tell us that's the edge of the road. And combined with the yellow, it tells us we're going in the right direction. Okay. What is the part of the road called? This part over here is called the shoulder. And we're going to be discussing the shoulder a lot. And we should start talking about this in our commentary drives. Our description of the shoulder is important. Is it a good out for us? Is it, when we talk about space cushion, can we go into the shoulder, or is that dangerous? This shoulder looks kind of dangerous, doesn't it? Doesn't look like you can fit your car all the way over. And it looks like if you do, you're going to bring your car into a ditch. It's not a good out. How are you supposed to deal with this when driving? Drive with the shoulder? If you find that your car flops over this pavement here and into the gravelly shoulder, can you see that? Okay, what do? It happens. It happens, especially if there's very, very little room between the white line and the edge of the road. Okay, I've been in areas where there is no white line and there's just the edge of the road, and then there's this gravelly shoulder that's down a couple inches. You're going to feel, because the gravel goes slower than pavement, you're going to feel your car want to go farther into that shoulder. Okay, so what you do is you brace your hands so your car is not going to go farther into the shoulder. You take your foot off the accelerator. That's going to give you more traction. Then you gently, with your hands, maneuver your car very gently. Do not jerk it. Very gently maneuver it so that that the wheel, your front right wheel, is going to gently jump back up onto the pavement. Okay, and then you continue going. You don't use the brakes and you don't jerk your hands. Okay, that's a skillful move. It's an advanced move, but it's very, very important that you practice that. And it's hard to do it in a driver education car because it's pretty darn dangerous. Okay. Who is allowed to pass here? Nobody. Is passing allowed here? Well, we have a solid white on this side, no passing on the right. We have a solid yellow on this line, no passing on the left. The answer is no. Okay, what is the purpose of the center lane here? The purpose of the center lane is that you can, instead of coming to a full stop in your lane to make a left-hand turn somewhere up here or over here, instead you can get yourself in the center lane, allow the traffic behind you to continue going, and wait for the oncoming traffic to clear, and then make your turn. Okay, you are not supposed to be driving up and down this lane, and you do have to watch for other cars that are already occupying this center lane. Okay. Where is passing allowed here? Okay, here's a situation. This is something here that my students would say, okay, Mr. Wallace, we have a situation. I teach my students to say this, and we definitely have a situation here. What's our situation? My student would say, okay, we have a biker on the other side of the road, and he's even in the road. Okay. Anything more? Yes. We're coming up to a blind hill. Very good. So that we just identified the situation, right? So we've been scanning. We identified it. We can predict what's going to happen. Okay. Predict the worst case scenario. We have a car coming hard over this blind hill. All of a sudden realizes there's a biker in his lane. And what is that car going to do? He's not going to hit the biker, right? Especially with these dashed yellow lines. He's going to come out into our lane, right? And go around the biker. But here we are traveling at 55 miles per hour. Okay. With this situation coming, what do? We take our foot off the accelerator. Buy us some time and space, okay? See what's coming next. After a while, especially because this biker is going downhill, he's going to be moving pretty quickly towards us. Once he gets to around here, we don't have to worry about some car coming down and being shocked by seeing this biker in his lane, right? So once he's around here, we're going to easily pass him, right? But we do want to, we would probably even, I would recommend in this case, depending on how fast we're traveling, actually using the brake to bring ourselves down to speed until our biker gets to somewhere around here where the driver coming over the blind hill will not be shocked to see him there and will have already passed by the time the biker and the car come around, okay? So it's a timing situation for sure. And in the worst case scenario, we bring our car down to speed and let the biker pass us somewhere right up here. Okay, no big deal. And if the car never comes, no big deal. If we have a car behind us, he's going to see right when he tries to pass us, oh, there's a biker coming, and he's going to get back into our lane and get behind us. Okay, that's the situation. Now, we do have, like, I think this is actually a mailbox here. I thought it was a person at first. All right, that is a typical situation that great drivers identify. They predict what's going to happen. They make a decision to bring their car down to speed until this situation is no longer a risk, and they do that, and we save lives. This is a saving a life situation. Okay, let's continue. You're a hero after doing that. Okay, this is your view from the driver's seat, and you have two really big problems on your hands. What are they? If you guessed you're going the wrong way in traffic, you're absolutely right. You're going the wrong way on a one-way road. Number two, you're coming up to an intersection and you have no idea if these cars are going to be stopping or going to be completely going. You're going to have to come to a full stop before, So what do we do, right? What do we do here? Okay, we want to take a right. We want to take a left. The one thing we know we need to do is we need to come to a complete stop at this intersection. The second thing we know we need to do is we need to get onto this road, okay? We need to find out which way this road goes, okay? It might be a one-way road itself. It kind of looks like it. I'm not sure. I don't know. It has a stop line here, though, and it has a stop line here. So maybe it is two ways. But we need to go on this road. Once we ascertain which way it is going, we want to go to the right, okay? If it's two ways, we want to make our right-hand turn. And we want to wait until the traffic clears or is stopped before we make our right-hand turn, okay? Where should you enter the turn lane? Okay, so for the turn lane just kind of comes out of nowhere here. There isn't much time. This must be a really slow road, even though it has so many lanes to it. But we don't want to pass this yellow line, that's for sure. So we want to wait until we get past the yellow line and then get into our turn lane and go. It probably looks a lot like this one right up here. Okay, so we're supposed to stay in our lane. This is going to be some type of center lane, right? And then all of a sudden it becomes a turn lane at the end. Pretty common. Okay. See the double lane here, the double line here? This is definitely this kind of box right here, that is your right to be in there from that point on. Okay. Okay, we have a ton of pavement markings here, right? Look at this stuff. What are these chalks here? What is this about? If you said it's for parking, you're correct. We even have them on the other side of the road. This is a one-way road. How do we know it's one way? Because in the center line is white and it's dashed. That means you can change lanes, right? And look at this, guys. After you have these chalks for parking spaces on the side of the road, you also have a bike lane that's not really designated. It's just a bike path, right? There's no lane here itself. So this, I would never, ever bike on this path here. This seems to me like it's crazy. Okay, here we go. All right, we have more center lane stuff here, don't we? Right, so these center lanes here, they're dashed on the inside, solid on the outside. They have the little turn marks. That means that we can use this lane to turn left. You're the driver. This is a view from the front. What do these roadway markings tell you? Yep, that means we can cross. We can change lanes here. This we can't. That's the shoulder, and that's on the wrong side of the road. So we really want to be on this side of the road for this. So this is oncoming traffic here. Okay. Here we go. All right. Are vehicles allowed to cross this solid white line or green box on the right? They're going to have to stop and wait. What is the procedure for this? It isn't very well understood. I'm going to try to find some videos on this in the future to try to bring more recognition to this. But here's the situation. Yep, we have a bike lane. We identified that bike lane here. I'm not exactly even sure what this means with the green up here, but I guess this means we should stop at this point here. If there's a biker who is stopped here or who is going to stop because we pass him and we know he's coming, we need to stop here and give him the right of way. And he may stop there. And even though we want to make a right on red, we need to wait until he clears before we can make our right-hand turn. Okay. We must give the right of way to bikers. Okay. This also, I will tell you this right from the start. Bikers do not like to stop for red lights. Okay. Because it means they got to stop and then get started all over again. They prefer to coast through them if they can. Okay. Bikers also don't really pay attention to when you're going to make right-hand turns. So you have to manage them in your mirrors after you pass them. You have to manage them and make sure they're far, far enough away so that you have enough clearance to make a right-hand turn. Otherwise, you're going to hit them or they're going to hit you. Okay. So it's very, very important to manage them and keep them in your vision the whole time. And if they're too close to you, you need to come to a full stop and allow the biker to clear through before you can make your turn. Is the black car allowed to turn left into the driveway here? The answer to this, guys, is no. You're not supposed to cross this meridian. This is the same thing as if there was grass and some raised thing here. You're not allowed to go and get into this and take a left. You're going to have to continue down the road and make a U-turn or turn off and then make a 2-point turn or something and turn around and then come down the road and then make your right-hand turn. Beautiful spring picture right here, guys. Okay, now, are you allowed to make a left-hand turn? Absolutely. You are absolutely free to go into, there's some work being done right here, but or something going on. But once you clear that, you're allowed to get into the left-hand turn lane and then make your left-hand turn. Now, you're not allowed to do is go riding all the way down to, for a quarter of a mile down the center lane here. You're really only expected to go maybe 20 yards, if even, in the center lane before making your turn. Okay, here we go. Okay, we have all types of stuff here in this pavement marking stuff, but we've been pretty good about all this. Okay, so I'm just going to click on stuff real quick. Okay, number 1, we have those yield tooth marks. Number 2, crosswalk. Number 3, another type of crosswalk. Actually, yeah, it's a crosswalk, I believe, with the solid white stop lines. Number 4, stop lines. Number 5, those are those dashed lines that help you stay in your lane as you're making a turn. Number 6, looks like those are the yellow lines, right? They separate traffic going one way or the other. Number 7, this is that meridian that has those yellow zebra marks. Okay, can't go into it. Number 8, here's a bike path, right? And there's a dashed lines here because they're going to allow traffic to get into this lane. That's where you want to cross the bike path, not up here. Number 9, solid white line. That means you can no longer switch lanes. Number 10, dashed yellow white line means you can switch lanes. Number 11 is a bike path, right? Number 12 is the arrow indicating that you must turn left. And you're going to need to look. This is why we have them. Because you would think maybe you can turn left here, or here, or here, or here, right? Or here, or here. But no, this left-hand lane, you need to follow those dashed lines and enter this lane way down here, okay? And number 13, that's the white line that divides, that's the edge of the road. And do we have a 14? No. Right of way, traffic signs, signals, and markings don't always resolve traffic conflicts. Definitely not. Okay. And we need to work on communication. But when we use all of these things together, the sign, the signal, and the markings, it becomes a lot more clear for us. Okay. So don't rely only on one single thing. Usually there's going to be a warning sign, then there's going to be pavement markings, then there's going to be a signal, right, with the lights, and often with a sign near the lights telling you what you can and cannot do. Use all of the information to make your decisions, not just one. Right-of-way rules help to address these conflicts, that's true, and they tell you how traffic should proceed in different conditions. General right-of-way rules. A driver who approaches an intersection must yield the right-of-way to the traffic that is in the intersection, that is already in the intersection. They have the right-of-way, okay? Do not enter an intersection until they have cleared out. If drivers approaching the opposite direction reach an intersection at about the same time, a driver that turns left must yield to traffic that moves straight or turns right. At intersections not controlled by signs or signals, or where two or more drivers stop at stop signs at the same time and they are at right angles, the driver on the left must yield to the right of must yield the right of way to the driver on the right. Okay, when they're at 90-degree angles to each other, the driver on the left must yield to the driver on his right. Whoop! Something happened there. General right-of-way rules. A vehicle that enters a roadway from a driveway, alley, private road, or another place that is not a roadway, in fact, even from another roadway, must stop or yield the right-of-way to traffic on that already existing roadway, and also to pedestrians. Drivers must yield to pedestrians who legally use marked or unmarked crosswalks. Okay? Do not hit a pedestrian even because you think you have the right of way. You are going to face serious consequences for that. Okay, you must slow down or come to a full stop if necessary. You cannot enter an intersection if traffic is backed up on the other side and you cannot get completely through the intersection. Okay, so if it's already backed up into the intersection, you cannot start going, even if you have a green arrow. You must wait until the traffic is cleared out enough so for you to clear out of the intersection yourself. Wait until traffic ahead clears so you do not block the intersection. That's hugely important, okay? And this next picture should demonstrate that. Right, so let's presume, and it's not really that great, you have a bunch of cars up here and it's keeping this red car from getting into the lane. You have a green light, but you cannot go because you need to wait for this red car to clear, right? You need to have a car space, really, before you can start moving across the intersection. Now, why am I saying this? Because I'm speaking from experience. You know, even in Miami, it seems like that was never an issue for me. But when I was driving around in Manhattan, it seemed like I would get caught doing this every time I was at an intersection. That I would be like halfway through, there'd be a bunch of cars, and I'd be like halfway or uh, 2/3 of the way through the intersection and would turn red. And all the traffic ahead of me would be blocked up too. And I would be blocking traffic that was, crossing traffic. And I was just sitting there in my Mustang, my head down low, and people were honking at me. It was so embarrassing. I was that guy. Same thing too. Sometimes I would just get in so they could go around me and so on. But then I was blocking the crosswalk. And then I had people walking around me, giving me dirty looks, and telling me how foolish I was as a driver. I It was total inexperience, and this wasn't that long ago. Um, but it was the first time I had driven in Manhattan, and let me tell you, this was like Times Square, Manhattan. It was incredibly busy. I should probably, you learn from experience more than anything else, guys. It's absolutely true. So I learned from that experience. I learned quickly from that experience, and I learned, okay, even though the light's green, I'm not going to go for it until I can see that traffic is cleared. Okay, it becomes tough when you're in the right hand lane here, and you have traffic and you have a green light, but these guys are making rights on red and coming right into you and filling up your lane. That's horrible. But you learn to get into the other lane, so you don't have that issue. Let's continue. All right, here we go with the roundabouts. Be alert to cross streets or offset intersections so that you don't cause gridlock by blocking another street. Yep, that happened to Mr. Wallace several times. A driver who enters a traffic circle or rotary must yield the right of way to the drivers already in the circle. Okay, if they're already in the circle, you must yield to them. How do you do that? As you approach the circle, you look to the left. You yield to any traffic coming from the left. If it's coming from the left, you must yield. Okay, if there's two lanes and you are just going one turn, then if there's traffic that's not in your lane on the outer lane, but only in the inner lane, then you are free to go. Okay, let's watch a little video on this. Here's Mr. Wallace from the other day. The questions are going to be who has the right of way in the roundabout and where do you need to look when approaching the roundabout? Okay, and I want you to look at the car that's approaching the roundabout ahead of me. All right, folks, this is Mr. Wallace, your driver education instructor, and as you can see by the warning sign, we are about to come up to a roundabout, and it recommends 15 miles per hour. We see that the car ahead of us is yielding the traffic on its left. Right? Once traffic is clear, he's free to go around. We're going to do the same thing. We're coming up to a roundabout, looking over my left-hand shoulder, nothing there. Put my indicator on to show that I'm going into the roundabout, and I'm going to go almost all the way around. And just managing traffic to make sure. Okay, when I'm in the roundabout, guys, what's my foot doing? Okay, as I'm coming to the roundabout, as I'm approaching, my foot is hovering on the brake. It is definitely not on the accelerator. When I recognize that there's not going to be any traffic, and I don't have to come to a stop, then my foot's going to shift to the accelerator, and I'm going to press on the accelerator to get into the roundabout, and I'm going to hold that. I'm going to hold it down on the accelerator so I maintain a certain speed. 15 miles per hour. So it's not going to be too much pressure. And I'm going to continue that speed all the way around the roundabout. My foot's not going to be hovering over the brake. Okay, so it's going to be on the accelerator as I go around the roundabout. I'm going to use my indicator to, exit the roundabout, and I'm going to maintain that speed as I go out of the roundabout. Everyone is paying attention to the rules. And now I'm coming out of the roundabout. That's it. Okay. We also saw a lot of signs. I want you to note that the crosswalk signs are neon yellow. They're different from the regular warning signs. The neon yellow signs means life, and it means really take note, be extra cautious. So this is a roundabout with crosswalks here. And it's not in a part of town where there's a lot of pedestrian traffic. But again, you got to be extremely careful wherever there's pedestrians involved. Okay. Who has the right of way in the roundabout? The cars that are already in the vehicles that are already in the roundabout. So you're looking over your left-hand shoulder. We saw that yield, the shark teeth there, where we would have to stop if there was traffic. There wasn't any at the time when I was entering the roundabout. I was kind of hoping there would be. Okay, where do you need to look when approaching the roundabout? You need to look over your left-hand shoulder, okay? And of course, you got to scan well in advance for any pedestrians. And if there are pedestrians, you must come to a complete stop and give them the right of way, okay? Let them cross. Okay, in review, what shape does a regulation sign typically have? It usually is square, could be triangular, could be the octagonal, and the colors are usually red, black, and white. What type of pavement marking show you which lane you must use to turn for a turn? They're going to be a turn arrow, right? Which of the following must you obey over the other three? A red light, a flashing red light, a stop sign, or a police officer? As I told you, if there's a police officer directing traffic, he has the authority over all the other signage. Okay. There we go. Okay, what do each of these lines indicate? Okay, one broken line means they can pass that there's passing on each side. Whoop. One solid means there's passing on only one side. Okay, double solid means there's no passing at all. A solid and a broken line together, if you are on the side with the solid line, you cannot pass. If you're on the side with the broken line, then you can pass. Okay, you were at a green light, but traffic on the other side of the intersection does not allow you to pass all the way through the intersection. Can you enter the intersection? The answer is no. Does a vehicle prepared to enter a traffic circle have right of way over vehicles in the circle? Absolutely no. Okay, that's it for today's lesson, guys. Hope you enjoyed. If you have any questions or comments, please leave them in the comment box below. If you found this video useful, please give it a thumbs up. This always helps us reach more people just like yourselves. And last but not least, this is my new saying at the end. Remember to thank a veteran and remember to always drive safely. That's it.